Welcome all students to the C Sharp Concepts video series. In the last video, we had learned about the classes and object and difference between the classes and object. In today's video, we are trying to understand what is the member variable and what is the difference between a static member variable and non-static member variable. A simple theory point, member variables are the attributes of an object from design perspective, and they are kept private to implement encapsulation. Simply remember that it is not compulsory to make them as private, but it is preferred to make them as what is private because they are holding the data. So they should not be directly manipulated by an object of the class. They can be manipulated by the member functions, or they can be manipulated by using the properties in C#. So these variables can only be accessed using the public member functions. The member of a class divided into two categories. One is the static member and second is called as the non-static member. So let us try to understand the difference between the static and non-static member variable. For your better understanding, there is a class created by us named as the test, which has these two member variable x and y. If we declare some variable over here as z, then z is not a member variable, z is a variable declared inside the function named as show. So this is having a scope related only with the given function named as the show. But whereas x and y, both member variables, can be accessed inside any function of this class named as what here test. So we understood what is the member variable, a variable which is declared inside a class but outside all the methods or a function that is termed as what here member variable. Member variable preferably declared as private, and further they are accessed with the help of the member functions as well as what the properties of a class. So what they are holding the data. Now what we are interested in understanding the difference between a static and non-static member variable. So what I'm doing, I'm declaring one member variable named as x, as well as I'm declaring one member variable by saying static int y. So we can understand x is a non-static member variable and y is what a static member variable. For your understanding, what I'm doing, I'm planning to create one function inside the class called as a test. So I created one function by saying public void assign into bracket int a comma int b, and the value of a is been assigned by me inside x, as well as the value of b is been assigned inside the member variable named as y. You know that there is a difference between x and y. X is static and y is what a non-static. Again, I am interested in going for creating one more function called as show, which will be displaying the value of x and y. So here it comes, public void show, and inside the show, I just display a small statement by saying console.writeLine. Maybe I'm using the concept of marker over here, saying value of x, a marker 0, backslash n, value of y, a marker 1, comma, the member variable x and y. So the show function will be displaying the value of x and y, and the assign function will assign the value towards the member variable x and y. Please remember, x is non-static, y is static. What is the difference between a static and non-static? A static means common for all objects of a class, and non-static means different for each object of a class. More precisely, in a classroom, I always give an example that the board which has been there in the classroom is termed as a static, which is common for all students. And whereas the notebooks or the notes which are passed to you, they are termed as what is non-static. So static members are common for all objects of the class, and non-static members are different for each object. Let's see practically really how this static and non-static works. So for doing it, what I'm doing, I'm going to create the object of test class. I had created a first object T1, and here I'm interested in calling the assign, where I'm assigning the values 100 and 200 in the assign function. So 100 goes to A and 200 goes to B. So the value of x becomes 100 and the value of y becomes what here 200. For you understanding what I'm doing, I'm just displaying one message by saying console.writeLine value of T1 object member, and here I just call T1.show, waiting for a keystroke by saying console.read key. I run the program. Please concentrate. What is happening? The value of T1 will be displayed to you as what we can say 100. The X value has been 100 and the Y value is been displayed by them as what we can say you are 200. So you can easily see the output that the value of T1 object member is X is 100 and Y is 200. So as I told you, Y is static. It means it is common for all objects of a class. So if I am not assigning any value to the other object of a test class, then also Y value has been assigned to it automatically as 200. So just to see the demonstration, what I'm doing, I'm creating one more object saying test2 equal to new test. And here I'm just displaying one message by saying console.writeLine value of T2 object member, and further I'm calling T2.show. When I'm trying to run the program, you can easily see what is happening. It shows me the value of T2x is 0, but T2y is assigned as what here 200. So we have not assigned y of T2, but still y is 200. The reason is very simple. The reason is what T2 is nothing but an object of the test class and y is the static member variable. So y is common for T1 as well as what here T2. Many times this misconception occurs that the static members means constant. Don't call them a constant. They can be changed. We call it a static member variable. So they are allowed to change their value. Constant values are not being changed. तो ये misconception मत रखना. So T1 object X and Y is 100, 200. T2 object X is non-static. So X is different for T1. X is different for T2. But whereas Y is been common, even if we can see more precisely, if I am again calling the T1 assign and maybe assigning the value as 10 and 20 to it. And further, again I am displaying one message saying console.writeLine value of T1 object. And here I am interested in calling once again a show method of T1. So you can see what is happening. Earlier, the T1 object X and Y is what? 100 and 200. T2 object before assignment Y is same as what is 200. But again, we had assigned for a T2. So you can see the T2Y is what we can say being changed as 20, even if T1Y is also being changed as what is 20. Because the T1 is what we can say an object of the test class, T2 is an object of the test class, and Y is static. So if I am trying to create one more variable or one more object of this test class, you will find it is again what we can say having Y as the same. So any object changes the value, automatically all other objects values are getting changed. That is the basic concept of what we can say static member variable. So more precisely in the theory part, in simple words, we can define that the members of a class that does not require an instance for initialization or execution are known as static members. On the other hand, members which require जैसा X के लिए object का जरूरत है, required an instance of a class for both initialization and execution are called as what is non-static. Non-statics are always called by an object of the class and statics are called without an object of the class. Whenever we declare a variable by using a static modifier in C# or when we declare a variable inside any static block, then those variables are considered as static variable, whereas the rest of the others are considered as non-static variable. And if you want a variable to have same value throughout all the instances of a class, then you need to declare these variables as what is static variables. So one thing which is clear to us, when we want something to be common for all objects, we call it as static. And when we want the value should be different for each object, we call it as non-static. For declaring static, we are using the static keyword. Class, if any issues are there, please comment it out. I will try to go for resolving your problems. If any confusions are there, please ask me out. So I will be able to go for creating some videos, etc. Even if we are planning to create a live sessions also, so that YouTube live, so that I am able to go for giving the solution for any of your questions which are related with this particular subject. So please subscribe the channel and be with us. Thanks a lot.